Check us out on all of our social media platforms. On Twitter at tinfoilhatcast, reddit.com/r/tinfoilhatshow.
On Instagram at tinfoilhatpod.
Or allcomedyt-shirts.com.
Email us at tinfoilhatpod@gmail.com.
What's up, good looking? Yeah, man. That's what I am.
Welcome back to another episode of Tinfoil Hat. Tinfoil Hat. Tinfoil Hat. Come with me into the waters of conspiracy with Sam Tripoli.
Sam Tripoli.
Sam Tripoli.
Sam Tripoli.
Mr. Sam Tripoli.
With my friend Ryan Davis.
Hi, Ryan.
We're the first gay couple of conspiracy theories.
I think it's beautiful, man.
Hold up there, partner. Say that again.
It's some mystical, deep, dark realm, crazy shit.
Wake up, Aaron. There's reptile people everywhere.
Hey man, we're spitting truth there, dog.
Oh, what the fuck are you guys even talking about?
Are you ready to get your mind blown?
Revolution will be podcasted.
Yes. Yes. Second verse. Same as the first. How are you guys? Welcome to Tinfoil Hat. You know who we are. You know what we're here to do. How are you off the grid?
Well, good. This is the second time we started. We said a bunch of illegal shit beforehand, so we're continuing with the try to.
Look at Ryan's hair flowing. Look at that. That is the sun. Look at that hair. It's so good, dude.
Should we announce the January? We haven't locked it down yet, have we?
No.
Okay.
Let's look at the fucking hair. He's so flow. Give him that herbal essence. You know they love it. Guys, oh, look at that. God, they love that shit. I feel like I'm going through a car wash. How are you guys? Welcome to a wonderful episode of Tinfoil Hat. I want to thank you all for all your kind and loving comments on YouTube. Really enjoy going in there and hearing how much you guys love the show and you love me, and I'm high on drugs with Parkinson's. So thank you guys for tuning in. A lot of amazing things going on the Patreon, guys. We are getting so close to the magic 500. 3 more people.
But it's got to be there on the 1st
of
September.
Yeah, on the 1st September, we got that 500 people, and Ryan will go to a furry convention.
I will become a furry. I will convert to furryism.
Oh, it's a lifestyle
Yeah,
now?
I will be a deep Wahhabi, like full-on. Only people I hang out with will be in furry outfits.
Dude, much respect to you and your lifestyle choice, okay? I love this. So, guys, 3 more people. Go to Patreon. We're putting out some amazing things. We're going to do one this week. Crank it out. I got an interesting guest who wants to come on. So that's that. The T-shirts. Boom. More T-shirts are coming. Guys, grab the T-shirts. Ryan's got a bunch of new ones he's ready to put out. Ryan's killing it at the design. Holla at your boy. Look at that. For life. Tinfoil Hat for life. Anything else we got? Oh, yeah, we do. Look at that, everybody. Well, first of all, September 5th, the Tinfoil Hat Comedy Night will be live at the Belly Room upstairs, September 5th at 8 o'clock. Eddie Bravo, Off the Grid, myself, plus some... Oh, Theo Vaughn has been added to the lineup. So we're going to do some stand-up, and then we're going to sit down and take your questions on all the different conspiracies. That will sell out. But the big one is, put the flyer back up, September 14th and 15th, live at the Corner Comedy Club in Niagara Falls, Canada. 2 shows, 7:30 and 10. I've already been told tickets are selling quickly. Grab them. Eddie Bravo, myself. This guy can't make it because he's not allowed in Canada.
Or Australia.
And most likely China as well. So, guys, go grab those tickets. Myself, Eddie Bravo. Half an hour comedy for both of us with a half an hour of just Q&A with our Canadian friends and those Canadian ladies with their shiny skin. I don't know if you know that. So get it. Guys, Texas is coming as well. We got Texas. We got Philadelphia, October 14th. That's all coming. Those dates will be out. We're coming near you, homeboy. We're going to go deep, dropping truth bombs on these unsuspecting fools. Bring the ladies. They make the night much better. Joining us here in studio is a friend of mine. I've known him for a very long time, but lately we've been talking a lot because we're both kind of in the truth world. We're both kind of battling political correctness.
You almost said life. I like that.
We battle life?
Yeah, you're like, we almost battle life.
Yeah, we
Becoming
do
that
battle
way.
life, dude. He had a show on the Food Network, Ginormous Food. Please welcome my good friend, Josh Denny, everybody.
Hey.
Josh, tell us a little about your podcast.
I have a podcast called The Implications of Josh Denny, where I basically take I'll talk. It's sort of like conspiracy a little bit. I talk a little bit. I just have these sort of outrageous theory statements that I'll make, and then my guest usually has to defend it or argue it. And ultimately, like the descriptor says, it ends up with us coming up with the worst possible solutions to the world's problems.
Yeah, maybe that's what we need. More out of the box, set the world. Sometimes you just want to watch the world burn.
Yeah. It's kind of like Carlin said in he said, where he turned the corner as a comedian is when he stopped giving a shit about the outcome. And I feel like that's where you inevitably get pushed as a comic, where you just go like, I think you and I have gone through similar paths in our careers where you go like, do I want to be the guy who says all the right things, does all the right things, stays employed, and then you try it, and then you realize that doesn't guarantee that you're going to stay employed either. So then you have this crisis of consciousness of do I stay true to myself and talk about the things that I care about and I want to talk about or that matter to me and do the kind of art that I like and comedy that I like, or do I just become another one of these people not trying to piss people off? And I don't know. I don't think I could ever do the latter.
I am in the truth game. I'm in the honesty game. I love when crowds get quiet in true stories.
Yeah.
I did a story about the time I did stand up for a room full of special people and how they got, and people get quiet. And I'm like, why are you getting mad at this true story? Do you not like to hear about truth? And truth has become a niche now. It's a niche.
Isn't that weird?
It's so weird.
Isn't it? And why did you want to do comedy in the beginning? Wasn't that the point?
That's always interesting. I think I'll tell you, everybody starts comedy for a different reason, but none of those reasons are ever to make money. I've never heard a young comic go, man, I just want to make all the money. They always are, I just want to be famous. I just want to be like this comic. I want to bang all the chicks or whatever that reason is. But very rarely is it, I want to make all the money. At some point, it becomes about making all the money.
Yeah.
And the desire to play the game. And when you do play the game, one of two things happens to you. There's a couple outcomes. It's like two of them, which is like, okay, it works out and you hit the way you think, or you don't hit and you become super bitter on a fucking Carnival cruise doing comedy that you just is killing your soul.
Yeah, I mean, the wanting to do it to get rich thing, I could never even fathom as a motivator for me, because I made great money before I had a career where I made 6 figures a year. When I first moved here, I still had that job. And I remember having a conversation with the Improv, like when I first met you, and you were just like, dude, what are you doing with a job? Like, you're here in LA, commit, like go to do comedy. Like, what are you doing? Yeah. But I mean, you're right. It got to a point where I hit a level in my corporate career where it was like, if I want to go further and become like a CFO or a CEO, I've got to give up comedy, because ultimately all the things that ended up happening professionally because of comedy I saw coming down the line. Like, eventually the comedy side's going to get too big to where you're going to start showing up to work and people are going to be like, hey, I saw this thing you did the other day, and then you've got to defend that's called sarcasm.
Yeah.
Like, I don't actually think that about Latino people.
Yeah.
All of my Latino employees, you fucking idiots. Like, it's so, it's one of those, like, you said something sexist on a podcast and you have women that work for you. Yeah, no shit. It's called comedy. Like this idea that now we have to own comedy as if it's a manifesto. Like, I remember one of the first shows you and I did together, Chris Neff was on that show, and he went into this like fucking 7-minute bit about rape. And this woman, he comes off stage and this woman's like reading him the riot act, and he goes, "It's fucking jokes, lady. Like, do you think I'm coming off the stage, like, grabbing the first bitch I see and reenacting this entire thing?"
Right.
Probably wasn't good for him to say bitch to her. And then the crazy thing is he actually,
when was that?
When she wasn't looking, he grabbed her. No, I'm kidding. No, this was like 2010 maybe.
Yeah. I just did my other podcast is Patreon, and halfway through I ended up screaming at everybody because they brought up the James Gunn and the kitty stuff, and I go, listen, the jokes themselves are fine, but when you set a precedence of everybody super sensitive about homophobia, racism, and sexism, and then you're going to tell me that pedophilia is just a joke while you've like destroyed people's lives over the N-word and all that other stuff. But now having sex with kids, it's just, come on, these are just jokes.
That's the now that's the one we want to defend. Well, it's interesting because there are a lot of my friends that are on the right that, we'll have conversation about these things like the James Gunn thing when it comes up, and they go, man, I would love to defend these guys, but they are part of the problem. Like a dude like James Gunn, by the way, weighed in on my Twitter controversy in May.
Really?
Like commented on it, was like, if you think comparing racism towards white people is like it used to be towards black people, you're fucking retarded or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
And so
let's get into your controversy.
yeah,
too, bro.
and
Finish
so
your thought.
no, but then so when it comes for him, and I've said this to everybody all along, I go, listen, you can talk shit about my comedy, you can talk shit about my opinions, but know this fucking snowball is coming for everybody. And unless you take a stand against it, and you're one of the people like us who says, listen, everything is on the table as far as talking about comedy or sharing ideas or speaking truth, and if you stand in the way of that, you're going to get swallowed up by it too at some point.
Yeah.
Even if you think you're one of the good guys, which was
Right.
James Gunn's situation.
Well, James Gunn's situation is like you shouldn't be doing jokes about pedophilia when your friend is arrested and convicted for kiddie porn. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
here's my whole point. It's like those jokes alone, let's say the Me Too and the racism and people losing their jobs didn't happen, and James Gunn is doing these jokes. Would I defend him? Yes.
Yeah.
But within this world of where I hear he comes after you, why would I defend this person?
Well,
it's my problem with Patton Oswalt.
Yeah.
It's like, stop getting on a soapbox and telling everybody how you should act and treat other people, and then blatantly and everything's context. Don't sit there and fucking mock Roseanne and about child sex fucking trafficking.
Right.
Literally, that is the context that we are talking about, in which we're like, everything's context.
Right. And everybody wants to ignore context when it serves their agenda.
Yeah.
And they want you to care about context when it helps them.
Yeah.
It's just like, listen, to me, you're either a principled person or you're not. I've never, one thing I know I can say without a fucking question in my mind is I've never gone after another comedian or director or filmmaker or anything about the content of what they do. I've never said, like, well, that's questionable. Like, that's questionable judgment to think that that's funny. I have a show called The Darkest Hour. I don't think anything is off the table in terms of what you can make funny. That's the challenge.
Right.
That's the challenge of being a comic and being a good comic.
Right.
Is, can you take something horrible and make it funny? And that's, I mean, I'm interested in that kind of shit. That I think that's what makes human beings interesting. And that's, to me, that's what separates great comedians from shitty comedians. Like if comedians just go up and talk about boring, everyday, run-of-the-mill shit, like I'd want to kill myself. That doesn't interest me at all.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned Carlin, because I always wonder, I'm like, what would Carlin think of his people nowadays? Like, what would he think of comedians?
Well, I think, and the funny thing is, a lot of comedians, when you bring up Carlin, they go, Carlin was a staunch Democrat. He'd hate everything you're against. I don't think so, man.
I don't
I
either.
think if Carlin were alive today, he'd be the leader of the alt-right. I mean, like,
Really?
when you look at the way he viewed, he hated institutions. And he hated groups.
But he hated war.
I think he'd be a Ronin, dude.
Yeah, he
Yeah.
might be libertarian.
Yeah,
but he
maybe.
probably would be conservative in his ways of thinking. He always was about that.
Well,
He was
Yeah.
bullshit. He had low levels of bullshit.
Well, he was anti-establishment.
Yeah.
And now the establishment is censorship and identity politics and
Outrage.
and outrage. Yeah,
Both
and
sides
so,
have lost their minds.
Yeah, I agree.
And we're going to get into this censorship stuff because I think, this is the big thing with Alex Jones. But I mean, make no doubts about. I get that. This podcast that Ryan and I do is not down the middle. We have no side, because I don't believe in life as black and white. I believe it's gray and it bleeds together, and therefore taking a hard stance on every issue from the right or the left, you're just blinded.
well, once it becomes about teams, and that's the thing that sucks about this debate, is it's become about teams. So, like, you can't defend a guy like Gunn because he's on the other team.
I would defend Gunn if there wasn't this precedent
Yeah.
that he is going after you.
He's been a
Let's
part
even
of,
know
yeah.
that he picked a side.
Or
Right,
if you
that's
knew
what I
him.
mean. That's what I mean. And so,
Or if you knew him, like how often do we say do you defend people that you don't even know?
Like Chris Hardwick, I defended because I looked at what was going on. I go, this woman's offered no fucking evidence, and all these people.
isn't it funny that she said, I have evidence, and he said, okay, well, here's my receipts, and she didn't produce shit?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Hey, and I'm just saying, for me as a fan of comedy and a podcaster, not these two comedians, everyone that was, there for Hardwick, everyone from the UCB, everyone from Largo, everyone from the little alt rooms, where are they now? It's just lunatics, that crazy guys that barely were on the outskirts of his life that are like speaking up, like this guy's been thrown. And they're going to bring him back. Supposedly his shows.
They did. He got two of his shows
everything's
back.
reinstated.
I imagine it's because of outrage like this. It would have taken a lot of people being like, yeah.
Well, what's interesting to me, and I was talking about this with another guy who's dealing with the censorship, Gavin McGinnis, and he brought up an interesting point. He said a lot of what this outrage is untalented people trying to bring those having success down to their level by changing the rules.
Yes.
So they're saying, well, if we take all these topics off the table, if you can't make fun of women, you can't make fun of gay people, you can't make fun of any minorities, then basically what we're doing is we're removing the ability to perform in the medium from these people that are already having a great deal of success.
For
and
sure.
if we muddy the waters with more mediocrity, then that legitimizes me, who is a very mediocre, shitty comedian. And
For
this is
sure.
a fictitious person I'm talking
Make
about.
no doubts about it. Is there's political correctness is just trying to push white guys out of the equation. And it sounds stupid, but it's really true, because when you take a look at it, like when you say you can't make fun of this, that's not true at all. You can't. If you're black, you just
Absolutely,
rip black
yeah.
people
Oh, sure.
to fucking shreds. Yeah, I'm not going to say what I watched, but I watched something on Comedy Central the other day that was the equivalent of what they call buck dancing. Have you ever heard of buck dancing?
Oh, yeah.
And it's probably one of the most offensive terms out there. But what I watched was so lowbrow stupid. I was embarrassed for everybody involved in it, and I love the people on the show. But that was white people going, they can do that because they're that race.
Yeah.
It's not a golden rule, man.
Well, the thing that I don't like about these rules either is it takes away the nuance of individuality, right? So what I always say, which makes a great comedian, the only way you can kind of stay good and original is to talk about yourself, to talk about your own life, your own experiences. Because if you're talking about just general day-to-day observations, there's so many comedians now, you're just going to be doing the same kind of jokes. So my life is riddled with instances of accidental racism, accidental shit. I have a Middle Eastern girlfriend. I grew up in Philadelphia. When I was a kid, my mom was one of the few white women brave enough to date a black dude in the early 90s in a predominantly black area. And so if I'm going to be true to myself and I'm going to talk about my life experiences, then it's somebody whose lens is shaped by that kind of shit. And that's the way I see the world. When I see people doing stereotypical things, that's where comedy hits me. Like when I see an Asian woman cut me off in traffic, like most people do, you're like, come on, man.
Yeah.
Like you're doing the thing. You're doing the Asian lady thing.
And for me, the most offensive, the biggest offenders of this whole thing are white women. And their belief that they've disconnected from any of the responsibility of what the past was. Meaning, like, they act like their fathers, their grandfathers, their great-grand didn't participate in this institutional racism which they raged so hard against.
Well, then it's also, too, this idea that all white people are equally responsible for acts of racism throughout
Right.
history. It's like,
That's not true at all.
well, it's insane. I mean, when I get into debating this with people and they want to talk about like the history of white atrocities, it's like, well, dude, my family on both sides are Irish immigrants. So you want to talk about atrocities? Like my family were, my ancestors on my grandmother's side were almost completely eradicated in the Cromwellian conquest, which was essentially the attempt to exterminate Roman Catholicism in Ireland. And so this is a genocide nobody really likes to talk about because they only lost 600,000 people, which people don't realize is 82% of the Irish population at that time. So, like, it doesn't get taught in American history class. But during the famine in the 1850s, when Irish people came over, do you think they just handed us banking jobs and like, oh, welcome to Rockefeller Corporation. Would you like an office? Like, no. Where do you think we worked? We worked on fucking plantations with black people. Like so this
Well, that's
this requirement to ignore the reality of history just to go like, you're a white person, this is what your opinions are allowed to be. You're a sort of Armenian, but we still consider you white, so this is what your opinions are allowed to be. And it's just fucking stupid.
Look at slavery itself, man. People like to go around here and act like everybody had a slave buddy.
Yeah.
Like we all got a slave. And it's not true at all. What's 100%, as it always is the 1%. The equivalent of Bill Gates of those times were the people who owned slaves. The average person did not own slaves. It's just factorial. And here's another problem.
Well, the other thing too, the idea that
the whole notion is like atrocities that happen within the borders of this country are the only atrocities that matter. And when you look at other races and where they are predominantly the race of that country, they do not look at anything that group did there. And the war crimes and the murder and the genocide. It's like everybody's got blood on their hands. Where is this magical place that everybody got along forever, all the time, that no atrocities or racial tension or fucking bigotry ever happened? Where is it?
Well, the only places that exist that are like that at all, and this is what I think is hilarious. White people go to places like Haiti and Jamaica. They go, they're paradise because everybody is poor and the same color.
Yeah.
There's nothing to fight about.
Yeah.
You said this to me a couple months ago. You said, dude, like identity politics is the 1%'s weapon to keep poor people fighting against each other.
Sure.
And it's like when you said that to me, it was like a fucking slot machine and my head went off. Where I was just like, God damn, that's so true. I mean, and the funny thing is, you talk about the 1%. This is the myth of, and when I was a kid in high school, I started researching a lot of shit about slavery because I feel like they're teaching it in a way that's just intended to make white people feel like shit. Like there had to be some outliers, and interestingly enough, in my research, I come across a dude named William Ellison. Do you know who that is?
No.
William Ellison was one of the guys who was the original. Was an original cotton gin maker. He learned how to make the cotton gin from the guy who invented it. He was a slave. He was a freed slave. And when his teacher, he was apprentice under this guy, died, he inherited his plantation, one of the largest in Carolina. And do you think he just said, like, everybody's free now, fellow black people? No. He became the most violent, one of the worst slave owners in the South, and the largest financial contributor to the Confederacy. So was slavery about racism, or was it about wealth and power?
Have you ever heard about Tyler Perry and how he treats people?
Well, yeah. I mean, so you're saying he's the new William Ellison.
What I'm saying is, like, this guy walks onto sets and tells everybody, I might pay you, I might not pay you.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
That's what I hear by people who've worked on it. I mean,
listen to the shit that Monique says about Oprah and what's his name, Lee Daniels. So Monique gets labeled as a difficult bitch to work with, a problem talent, because when Precious comes out, she talks about the fact that nobody wanted to pay for them to do press. No, they made Gabourey Sidibe fly herself to Cannes, pay for her own, and so Monique like paid for her stylist and everything else, and she's going, fucking Oprah and Lee Daniels are producing this movie. Oprah's got buckets of deep cash and doesn't go, hey, young black actress, let me pay for you to go promote the film that I'm making money off of. And so, it's like, that doesn't surprise me about the Tyler Perry
thing. You know, the whole belief was that you could not work on Oprah's TV show if you were more pretty, or you were prettier or thinner. Everybody had to be heavier than her.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And I heard that rumor.
Too bad she's out of the game. I'd have a job as an AP.
Yeah. Well, and then everyone's like, we need Oprah to run. It's like, this is what got you in trouble, is by
popularity contest.
By just taking these pop culture people and throwing them into shit, and then you wonder why. And it's just like identity politics is ruining everything, dude. And it's on both sides, censorship. What I want to get in with you about is the censorship that we see going on the internet right now. Obviously, Alex Jones is a big part of this. He's been wiped off several platforms, YouTube, Spotify, Pinterest, which I didn't even know was an issue. Like, he can't sell pictures. What is Pinterest, by the way?
His recipes for like silver iodine.
Yeah.
Listen here, the globalists don't want you to have this gumbo recipe. It's directly from Louisiana.
Now, what people don't understand is like they really wanted to eradicate this guy. He could be on his app now is the third most download app on Apple.
Isn't it interesting how this? So you could argue Alex Jones politics all day, right? Or does he even have any, or is it all theatrics? But what happens? There's this weird thing about people, and this is what I found through my controversy is that the people who care about truth will find you. So when you take a guy like Alex Jones and you go, he's getting too strong, we got to shut him down. All of a sudden, people who didn't even know who he was are like, I'm on this guy's fucking team now.
Oh, they say he's more popular than ever.
He is more.
But what
you
if
give him
that's
power.
also the plan? What if that's also the plan?
What do you mean, from his side?
If there's controlled opposition, it's called.
Okay.
Right? He doesn't go after Israel at all on anything. He's always talking about Islamic jihadists.
Yep.
You know, like there's things that people are like, this doesn't make any sense. He's apologized for a million things that you're like, why are you apologizing for this? Come out that he's, just a character, playing a character.
Yeah.
You know, what a better way to grow the opposition.
Yeah.
And we've seen it with the CIA over and over. And I'm not saying that he is. This is just, let's have a conversation. What's her name? The feminist that we talked about. That was basically a CIA asset.
Gloria Eldred?
Yeah.
Oh, Gloria Allred?
Yeah, she was a CIA
attorney?
asset.
Wow.
Just like Jesse Jackson, allegedly. Just like Al Sharpton, allegedly. You know, that these
Gloria Steinem.
Glorious, that chick.
Oh, Gloria
Steinem.
Steinem. Okay, yeah.
Gloria Steinem. These are all like, they controlled the opposition. It's just interesting because if they really wanted to wipe him off the planet,
They just whack him.
he's always talking about them killing Anthony Bourdain. It's like, but you're the guy who talks most about pedogate.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't they whack you off?
Yeah.
You're the guy pushing it harder than
I don't
everybody.
think this thing you say, I don't think it means what you think it means.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You like that?
Yeah.
Get some nice CIA chick with nice hands.
I would love for the government to come in and whack me off unexpectedly for the record. I don't know if that's a
Just
write-off.
Like you to pull your pants off. So
Yeah,
much.
just you're going to enjoy this whether you want to or not. Oh, you got me, government. This is it's not what I expected.
What I've also find very interesting is with this whole censorship of your friend Gavin.
Yeah.
They wiped him off there. Now
Well, Gavin and I have become kind of kindred spirit. This is the thing that I told you about that's interesting is like your people find you. Like the thing that was interesting when my whole deal went down back in May was that a lot of big name comics that I respect like messaged me directly and were like, hold your ground. Don't fucking, yourself included, don't apologize. You didn't do anything
apologize.
wrong. Like and like we got your back and like we know that people that care about this shit appreciate you doing this and standing your ground, even if they can't do it publicly because they've got major shit to lose or whatever. But Gavin was a guy that I kind of found through all that, and it's like we have a very sort of similar life story and a similar situation. I think it's so funny that Twitter takes
Before
him
you
off.
go into that, tell them the situation because you've mentioned your situation
a
couple times.
So I got the internet lost their fucking mind back in May because I logged into Twitter on a Friday. It was like Friday, May 19th. I remember the date specifically. It was after one of the most recent school shootings. And I was trying to find information on it. And as I go through all the tweets, it was just like, another shooting by a straight white male. Another straight white male loses his shit and kills a bunch of... And it was just like straight white male, straight white male. And so my comedy brain goes in and goes, if you replace this with the N-word, Twitter would look like it's entirely run by Nazis.
Oh, yeah.
And so I tweeted that straight white males become the new N-word. And that there's no difference in the way people use that phrase today than the way people use the N-word back in like the 70s and shit. So people immediately, and the dictionary.com jumped on this. They're like, it's the most offensive word in the history of the English language.
But yet we allowed 12% of the population to openly say it flowingly.
Well, it's like it's like is the principle that some words need to be deleted, or are we just trying to weaponize? And and the funny thing is, it's like Pavlov's dog theory. I ring that bell, and what happens? fucking 50 million people on the internet go, shut up, straight white male.
Yeah.
And I go like, you just proved my point.
Yeah.
You just proved my point that now there's this sort of movement to
Now, you lost
immediately
the show.
diminish. No, I didn't lose the show. My TV show was canceled.
No. I'm talking to show at the
Oh, yeah.
West Side.
I had a stand-up show, again, The Darkest Hour, which was at a club on the West Side. And what happened was when I tweeted this, people go, well, nobody could think this and not be racist, so let's go find all the examples of this guy being racist. So they go back and find a bunch of jokes on Twitter, which are essentially me making fun of racism. And they go, look, he's using these words, he's saying these things, that makes him racist. And so like a handful of people sent it to the club's Twitter. An unpaid intern who's like a 20-year-old chick reads it, gets offended at all of these tweets, and then goes to the club and says, I'll refuse to continue to work here. I have a problem with this place if you keep letting this guy do a show here. By the way, on the show that we do there, for 4 years, comics have come on and done pedophile jokes, kid fucking jokes, rape jokes, racist jokes. Like, that's the show. And this is the thing that's funny is people want to go like, well, everybody knew you as a guy who did
ate food.
Ate food, yeah. So you're not allowed to be an edgy comedian. It's like, dude,
God.
I had a comedy career for 9 years before this. So whether you knew about that or not, I haven't changed. Like, I've never not been this guy. And the network fully fucking knew that when they gave me a TV show. They might have said tone it down, but they didn't say delete everything you've ever done.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so, and ultimately they wanted that. Like, they wanted me on the show because I came with a fan base that was built by doing controversial shit. And so it's amazing how the tide kind of shifts, and then people want to go, well, now jokes are manifestos about how you see the world. And they try to label you with your extreme, like you're making extreme jokes. And they try to go, that's your real opinion.
It is weird how you can judge people just off looking at him. You came through the door, and I was like, Sam didn't tell me he was a ginger.
Yeah.
And like I totally judge gingers when I see them. Like, ugh. You're one of the, like the dark, like the Latino, like cherry ones.
Yeah.
I'm like, I wish I was one of the cherry ones, dude.
Yeah, but are you a blue-eyed ginger?
Green.
Oh, a greenish blue. I can't really see.
I don't trust blue-eyed people. In
no?
general, no.
Byron Bauer's bit about how gingers and the N-word are so like they even have the same letters.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people have done that. I have that take too, where I originally wrote a joke in like 2008 when I was doing all black clubs about how the rules around the N-word are stupid, and it was like it's again a fighting against this idea that language determines intent. And the joke did not work. It always put black people in opposition to me. And so I was like, how do I word this in a way where I can make the same point without immediately alienating the audience? And that's how my ginger bit was written, where I'm just like, you know, we say ginger, y'all say ginger with the hard ER. It's racist. It takes us back to a very dark place. Like, so I think every redheaded comedian has some kind of take on that, but mine came out of a place of trying to talk about something else and then saying like, well, how can I make it autobiographical and still make the same point?
It,
yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, exactly.
So, I mean, we're going to get into some more of the censorship stuff because I think we're entering a very dark place that the left doesn't realize that they're going down because, and I get a lot of trouble for this on this podcast. Like I was saying earlier, we're not on the right, we're not on the left, we're Ronin, we're down the, everything is each individual basis. Some things I might be a libertarian on. Some things, believe it or not, I might be a little socialist on, okay? Let the comments begin on YouTube, okay? But I get in trouble with you guys. You guys are always hitting me up going, oh, I talk about how censorship was started by the right on the left. And we kind of talked about this going on the early days. Great example of the right censoring the left. Book burnings, okay? They weren't burning the Bible. Actually, some people thought the Bible was too liberal, and they made it illegal to read at a certain point. They didn't want you actually to read the Bible. They wanted to tell you it was in the Bible, and they lied to you. But we look at book burning. We look at back in the day when they would get a giant bulldozer, and they would run over records because it was like the devil's music, right? That was often, the FCC comes from Christian values.
Yeah.
Right?
Isn't that interesting that on cable television, there's no law that prevents nudity or swearing? You know what the law is? The law of greed. Well, but yeah, exactly. So the reason that there's sort of this this gentleman's agreement on cable TV not to show full nudity, hardcore sex, or have swearing is to appease the FCC and advertisers.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's literally like cable television said, listen, I know we have these rules that allow us not to, because we're not broadcast open. That's the deciding factor with the FCC is if you're not actually broadcasting to open airwaves, then they can't censor you the same way that they can radio or public television. But then so the cable TV just went, well, okay, but we still want to play ball to get the money.
Yeah, that's exactly
so
it.
we'll just lump ourselves into these rules that actually don't apply to us.
Yeah, for sure.
And
Comedy Central does it all the time. Why
Yeah.
can I say that joke? Oh, because you don't want sponsors to get mad.
Yeah.
Showtime does it too. Andrew Santino, another redhead, guys. Another redhead. It's
a brown-eyed redhead.
He had a joke about acne medicine. And they wouldn't let him do it because Showtime is partly owned by pharmaceutical companies.
Doesn't that make you feel gross?
The whole thing's gross. Including backney. It's disgusting.
I just want to isolate say the whole thing's gross.
Yeah.
That should be a
And now we got a
that should
bunch
be my
of
ringtone.
dolphins outside.
Yeah.
Looking,
Whole thing's gross.
thinking I'm in. But it's like that. Then we have interracial dating. Do you guys know that like in the 90s, the early 2000s in porn, that porn companies could only do a small percentage of the porn could be interracial because the government said if you do too much interracial porn, you're making a statement and it's going to cause just white chicks banging black guys left and right. They literally make it only be a small percentage of it.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, isn't it crazy?
That's insane.
Interracial dating.
But how do they measure that? Is the quantity or is it the girth or the depth?
You're surprised that Sam's a porn historian?
No,
over
not
here?
that. I'm not surprised about at all.
You
But I
know?
just wonder, how do you measure how much black cock is too much?
I don't know. I've seen a lot of girls take a lot of it.
Listen,
and they
you can have
survive.
4 guys with small dicks or 2 guys with big dicks, but we got it. Once we hit a mile
That'd be
in terms of
so
the thrusted
funny
dick forward,
If the government made them measure, put down inches on each, like,
how much dick is too offensive?
yeah.
See, like right now, there are people hearing this and they'll go, "That's racist." It's like you're out of your fucking mind.
I don't know if
It's an organic discussion that's funny that's happening out of this.
By the way, in interracial porn, in particular gangbang
Right.
porn, there is some deep racism.
Oh,
like this
for
poor white
sure.
girl. Look at all these black guys. Oh, she's made some bad life decisions.
It's really like a 5-minute version of Django Unchained
Yeah.
in the sense that it's a revenge story.
For sure.
Like those 5 guys fucking that white girl did not finish filming and go like, I feel bad about this. They're like, good, fuck them. It's our turn today. Today it's our turn.
Today we fuck back.
They all have the Bill Pullman Independence Day speech with each other before they start rolling. Just today is our Independence Day.
Yeah, dude. So you got that. You got, I mean, censorship from the right happened a long time. Now, that doesn't mean I have a problem with the right because I like the right as much as I like the left. Everybody's on an individual basis, man. But now we have the left going after the right. And I don't even know if it's the left or it's just corporations and the elite trying to control the message because right now...
Yeah, how did it change, Sam? Like, how did it go from religious conservatives trying to censor things to essentially... Because in a way, that's almost a more organic censorship. At least it aligns with their ideology. Religious conservatism, like, I don't want my kids to see things. I don't want my kids to get information that violates what I teach them.
Right.
But on the left, it doesn't make sense because essentially you're standing in opposition of everything being a liberal is supposed to be about. So why did it change?
I don't know what the difference, and I've asked 1,000 people to explain, what is the difference between a liberal and a progressive? Like, whatever's the one that is, like, idealistic, I can't stand. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, you know what it is? It's these super young people who never really watched any of the old, like, censorship, the old stuff. They hear about it, but it doesn't resonate with them because I wasn't alive then, so I don't give a shit type attitude. And it's just like, what is going on right now? And their thoughts are, it's like, hey, dude, you want to go after the right now? Just know it's going to come back around because the censorship started with the right censoring the left a long time ago.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like, it's going to come back around. Once you get rid of all the meanies, right? They're going to come around for you guys. And if you don't think they'll come back around for gay lifestyles, for women's rights, for interracials, for just minorities, you're crazy, bro.
Yeah, I mean, it's because what happens is when you start to form teams on both sides, people stop caring about the principles and they just care about their side winning. And so they will go after, well, they'll be like, well, now we're taking gay marriage off the table now. It's like eye for an eye kind of shit.
You know, it's like you brought up George. Can you bring up George Carlin's, like, what deadliest words? How many words?
Seven
deadly
words you can't say on television.
Try to find them. I mean, like, that is the right censoring the left. And
yes.
Like, now the left is telling us these are words we can't say.
That's the thing that's interesting is, like, you can't take a guy like me and threaten that I'm gonna be banned, that I'm gonna be out, because all my heroes had that happen to them. So all you do in my mind is legitimize Lenny Bruce.
Lenny Bruce was arrested by the cops.
Carlin was with him. Carlin got arrested with him.
7 deadly words. Here they are. These, dude, look at these words. You can't believe that they were illegal. Shit, piss. You couldn't say piss.
Couldn't say piss
on TV.
You couldn't say pissed off.
You want to read them?
No, you sound good cussing.
Shit, piss, fuck, cunt, cocksucker, motherfucker, and tits.
Tits.
Yeah. You can now say dick on basically late night network television in reference to a penis.
Yeah.
Because community standards have changed because the left fought so hard for those changes.
Yeah, and I think that's why all of us, at least our generation, grew up thinking we were liberal, because we were fighting against those things. I was like, I don't want churchgoers to tell me what I can say on my podcast or on TV or anything. Like, just change the channel. So how did we go from change the channel being sort of like the all agreed upon ideology when it comes to art and entertainment to now people going, that needs to be deleted? This cancel culture of, like, if somebody says something I don't like, even sarcastically, they need to go away. Like, that's the thing that blows my mind, is that we're not even putting an asterisk next to sarcasm. Like, if I say something like, we all know women are whores, right, guys? And it's just like, he can't say that. It's, dude, like, it's called sarcasm.
I was watching Byron Bowers do a bit about texture of pussy, and you could hear women audibly gasp, oh, crunchy pussy, sloppy pussy, slimy pussy, like, that's where we've gotten, where it's so, like, anything sexual about women is degrading. But yeah, girls get up like dick.
But why are guys not allowed to have that? Like, why are men not allowed to get together? Like, because I would laugh at him, like, oh yeah, I remember that girl with the crunchy pussy.
Yeah.
Like, why am I not allowed to have something to relate to, even if by your definition it's shitty? Wait for the jokes you can relate to, or the comic you can relate to.
Yeah, and it's just like, you can't tell me to celebrate diversity and then tell me I can't talk about it.
Yeah.
Right? Are you telling me that gay people don't do funny shit? How come gay guys are the only ones who drive Miatas? Why do they the only ones who drive?
It's a very good question. Well, I think it's practical. It's a 2-door car, 2-seater. You're not going to have children.
Yeah, but
right?
The point is that the only ones keeping that car alive.
You have 2 incomes. Disposable incomes, yeah. Like, right? Why not a fucking Miata?
Right, but is that a homophobic statement? No.
It's observation.
It's observational, right?
What offends you guys as comedians? Like, I always wonder that. Does anything offend you?
Boring shit.
Yes.
Boring, lame, like, so my wife today said, honey, the garbage. Like, shit like that makes me want to slit my own
business
throat.
artists drive me nuts. I don't really get offended. Again, I'll go back to this pedophilia by Patton Oswalt and all these other fucking guys. They offend me with their hypocrisy.
Yes.
Hypocrisy offends me.
Yeah, I agree. I do comedy to shine light on hypocrisy.
Yeah.
That's the whole reason I started doing it. Was like, wait a minute, this group of people say this is bad, but then they go do this thing.
Right.
You know?
How often do you find yourself becoming like the thing you hate? Do you see that happening in time from time?
In hindsight, I think the closest I became to sort of being disappointed in myself was while I was doing my TV show and sometimes not pushing back hard enough. about like, tone it down, or I very much bought into and listen, I don't tell my story to be like, oh, pitiful me, I'm a victim. I tell my story so that other young comedians that get offered the same golden goose as me have a cautionary tale to go, listen, they're gonna tell you that if you just like concede a little bit of who you are, that you'll have all the money and all the shit you've ever wanted, and it's bullshit. It's not there.
I've seen them do it.
I had the conversation where one of my producers was like, oh, like maybe this show will go well enough and you'll have such a career here that like you won't even want to do comedy anymore. And I go, listen, if they want to discuss that, let's talk money.
Yeah.
Like, how much?
Yeah.
50 million?
Yeah.
I'll take 50 million. I won't do comedy for 10 years. How's that?
Yeah.
Like, make it worth my while. I know what that's worth to me. And nobody was like picking up the phone going like, how's 30 million? Like, there was no negotiation. They wanted me to sell it my soul for nothing. And I was like, then no. The answer's no. I'm not going to stop doing the thing that, by the way, that you found me because of. Like, you wouldn't have known who I was without it. So, and it's the only thing I left a career making good money to do it because it was where my heart was. And I was like, listen, man, if I die tomorrow, will my last day be spent doing something I enjoy or making somebody else happy? And that was the decision-making thing for me, to say, like, I can walk away from the 6-figure-a-year job. I'll do gigs. I'll do whatever I got to do to make ends meet, which I still do to this day, and I never stop doing through my show. So it's like, you can't give a guy a TV show that doesn't pay him enough to not need a day job still and go, and now give us your soul too.
Yeah.
Like, no.
I've watched comedians who come in and get traction by being honest, gritty, edgy, and then they get picked up by these, and I watch it change.
It chisels,
and
man.
then it just be, I'm not even going to say names, but I've watched
How many
them.
of our friends have TV writing jobs, and they're just like, most of my friends that I say that are well-known people that came to my aid privately have TV writing jobs. And they're just like, I just can't.
Yeah.
And I go, then dude, just don't do stand-up anymore. Just go be a writer.
Yeah.
Like, live in anonymity. If that's what you really want, then do that.
I had a great conversation with a friend of mine, Mike Catherwood. Used to be on K-Rock. Now he does a bunch of shows. And he just was telling me this great story. And he was like, he was talking about this show in particular because Mike listens to it. And he was like, you've created a brand that allows you to say whatever you want. It's very much like, and he was telling me about Adam Carolla and why Adam feels like he can say whatever he wants. And it's a great, great analogy. He's created a pirate ship. Yeah. You got to create your own pirate ship.
Yeah, and if there was any lesson I learned out of this is like, if we're not all trying to be Adam or Joe Rogan, like where we're all independent of the machine, then you are inevitably going to be its victim.
Yep. And what
it's
people
like,
don't understand,
it's not about jumping ship. It's about building a life raft. It's about saying, like, if when the ship goes down, which it fucking will I survive on my own little life raft? And that's what we have to do.
And just like the Me Too movement, just like all this censorship that they're doing on Twitter, the left needs to realize it's going to come back for you, because every time it does. When we look at the Me Too movement, it was started by hypocrisy. In that, it was started by the Grab Her by the Pussy video. Grab Her by the Pussy started, women got outraged, so they demanded change. They marched, and they demanded, like, my body, my right, all that stuff. But what they didn't realize until it was too late is that Matt Lawler put that video out. And Matt Lawler was the guy who had a rape desk.
Matt Lauer?
Yeah. He'd put a little, he'd hit a button and the door would lock so the chick couldn't leave.
Professor Claw from Inspector Gadget. You just picture him sitting in the rotating chair, petting his cat. Like, well, it's either you suck my dick or you go in the fire pit.
Right?
Like,
right? So here we are. It's starting hypocrisy. So now, to be honest with you, I've been seeing videos where everyone on the left is so excited that Alex Jones got, banned. Well, I saw Jimmy Dore speak up for Alex Jones, even though he spit on him at one point.
Yeah.
And Lee Camp stick up for him. And for the most part, the real truth seekers have all said, this is a bad precedent. This will eventually be a slippery slope.
Jimmy Dore and I have gone back and forth on political shit on Twitter for 5 years, and when my thing happened, he was just like, I don't agree with the guy, but you can't fucking banish people for having ideas.
Yeah, and it's just like you can't, life is not sunshine and blue skies. you can't get rid of the people who speak the truth about the dark side of everything. You just can't ban these people. It's just not real. And you wonder why people's heads explode when something doesn't work out in their life and they have to go to therapy and they have to take medication because they believe in this la-la land of bullshit and it's not real. And here's the biggest problem, man. If you're okay with YouTube, Facebook, all these other places fucking banning him, well, let me tell you something. All these companies got fucking government loans, fucking got infusions of cash from the U.S. government. That means your tax dollars went to help fund and seed these companies. And they grew to what they are now. So our tax money is using to censor us. And they're such a giant part of the marketplace. If I leave YouTube, where do I go?
Well, it's interesting you bring this up because we started to talk about this before the show. So these are institutions that have government subsidy, at the very least government subsidy, which comes from taxpayers.
Dude, Facebook is CIA funded.
And arguably, there's no real legitimate competitor. So at what point do they become public municipalities, and at what point are they subject to the same discrimination laws that a utility company is, a cable company? I'm about to have this lawyer on my podcast, dude named Steve Factor. He's a writer, and he does like Red Eye and stuff. I think he's out of New York. But he's wrote this thread kind of in response to something, saying like, you know, if 3 or 4 of these people like Milo, Gavin, and Alex band together and file a case with the Supreme Court that these businesses are actually public municipalities, then they would have ground, and they could get the Supreme Court to agree to that in principle. Then they have grounds for a discrimination suit to say that, well, because there is no like legitimate competitor or alternative to these platforms. It's a monopoly, and it is a public municipality because A, it's taxpayer funded or subsidized, and B, it's used by X number of the population with no competitor. So
it is the marketplace.
It is the marketplace. And so when it becomes that, if they can get the Supreme Court to agree that, and in a way they sort of have to, because Congress already against Mark Zuckerberg said, well, where else do we go? Like, so you're saying that you're a private entity and you own people's information or whatever, and ultimately you have the ability to sell and exchange that at your free will. Then if I don't want to participate, where do I get to go?
Yeah,
and
where do you go?
And he didn't have an
Friendster?
answer. Yeah, so he didn't have an answer. So if Congress is already leaning that way and the Supreme Court leans that way, then ultimately these companies would have to stop censoring altogether or face real heavy legal ramifications of discrimination. And the funny thing is like, so when Diamond and Silk got deplatformed, where were the social justice warriors calling racism on that?
Yeah.
Nobody did, because they're Trump supporting black women.
It's unbelievable.
It's like this complete willingness to ignore the principles behind where you stand on these things just to so your team wins. And that's the problem. And ultimately, I think that's what got Trump elected, was people were like, wait a minute, what if we blow up the teams?
Yeah.
What if we put a guy in there that's just going to face fuck both of the teams?
Yeah.
I think that's why people voted him in. And I think that's why they're going to vote him in again.
I mean, dude, think about how comedy went. Just think about what comedy was under George Bush. You could light up power, right?
Yeah.
Truth to power. Light them up. And then Obama came in, all of a sudden, all these fucking rules came in. Oh, you know, it's like, how many pictures you see of...
Are you talking about one of the newest executive producers for Netflix? Barack and Michelle Obama?
Oh,
you don't think that's a conflict of interest?
Oh, dude, what about what's-her-face that met with Bill Clinton in a tarmac? Susan Rice?
Yeah.
She's on there, too.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, and
So at what point, if this is government-funded and government subsidized, and then there are actual politicians or ex-politicians on your board of directors, at what point do we go like, is Netflix a propaganda machine? Is it a propaganda machine?
Dude, no, look at no further
Show me
than
the thing
George Soros is on the board.
Show me the part. Show me like the tinfoil hat of Netflix. Show me the other side.
They
show
on
what
Netflix.
They bury it.
They put it on there, but at the end they slip it the other. Like every conspiracy show on Netflix ends up being the official narrative.
Right.
So it's like, oh, look, we got these conspiracy. Like when they go, oh, every time they go to Netflix, they're always like, hey, we're taking this guy, this guy, this guy. But they get enough of the people that they say they're not taking that fit the criteria so that no one could go, hey, dude, you're being racist and all that shit.
Well, and you know, my whole tweet thing came from this resounding feeling about like the attack on straight white dudes or the exclusion of straight white dudes, primarily because it's more relevant and more apparent in our industry than anything else. And like, you can't tell me I'm wrong when I go, oh, JFL, there's going to be like maybe one straight white dude on the entire New Faces this year. I was wrong. There were 0. And then on that Netflix, like the stand-ups thing, I go, like, I guarantee there's not a straight white dude. And then Tim Dillon comes on in the end, and I go, oh, he's a straight white dude. And then like 5 minutes in, he's like, and I'm a gay guy. And I was like, oh, there it is.
But I love
There's
Tim Dillon.
Yeah, but Tim's a
speaking
funny
out
dude.
of this. He's been speaking out about it. I mean, he's honored to be at JFL, but he was like, this is bullshit.
I mean, and what it turned into is just like what our industry has become. And I wrote an article for Vandal Press on Medium about this. Is like they're turning comedy into the everybody gets a trophy part of Hollywood.
Yep.
And you know, and the only way you can allow the marketplace to fall in line with that is if you don't let the star quarterback even play anymore. So,
and if you don't think that's what they are saying is that white guys dominate too hard
in comedy. We're like Asians at Harvard,
right?
You got to raise the requirements, otherwise it's going to be all Asian dudes.
If they actually look at the white guys they let through, they're all fucking private schools.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, what about that one guy that did private school Negro?
W. Kamau Bell. So that's an interesting thing. So as a white dude, and again, like this is going to come off racially charged. I'm unapologetic about it. But as a fucking white dude, I'm supposed to accept that I have a greater position of power in this country than a guy who grew up private schooled who happens to be black.
It's the most ridiculous
like,
thing
meanwhile,
I've
my
ever seen.
family's all military. We've been poor for generations. And I'm supposed to go, you know what? I need to stop oppressing you.
Yeah.
I need to stop preventing you from achieving. Like, the argument I'll make with people all the time is like, if America's so fucking oppressive, show me minority prosperity like we have in this country in any other country in the world. Show me black billionaires in Europe, Asia, China, India. They don't exist. They exist here in America. So
India's got Indian billionaires.
Yeah, but what's the disparity of poverty with other Indians?
Sure,
right?
dude.
So it's like, so I can't continue to buy this narrative that just there's this continued institution of oppression in this country when we've made so many great fucking strides to overturn that. Like, because, a guy like Kanye West wouldn't have existed 60 years ago.
Listen, they want enough change in their life, personal life, but their professional life, they want status quo because it's paradigms that everybody's used to.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes more sense and it's easier to digest. And therefore, everybody wants change privately, but not publicly. And it's just the way it is. And at the end of the day, dude, our biggest strength is diversity, dude. Our biggest strength is that you can come to LA, you can get in a Middle Eastern taxi, go to a nightclub that plays fucking hip hop, get in a fucking Uber ramp that's driven by an Armenian to go to a Mexican food truck and go home. I've been all over the world, man. When it's homogenized. There we go. I had a brain fart right there. It's weird. When you go to China and it's all Chinese, it's weird.
That's why I love when people talk about gun control. They go, it works in Australia. Yeah, because it's the size of the U.S. with the population of Los Angeles, and 90% of people are middle-class white people.
And their military isn't used as stormtroopers for the rest of the world.
Right, so there's no reason for people to hate them.
Yeah, and there's no reason for them to go, whoa, whoa, whoa. Is our sons and daughters being sent into useless banker wars so that rich people get richer? Hey, I don't like that. You want to take a look at, we had Abby Martin on, who we love to death. I wish I would have brought this up because she's kind of more like, we got to get gun control. And she's like, well, they have these heart things, that and this. And I love Abby. This isn't a knock on her, but I wanted to bring it up. It's like, she's very like Israel Palestine. I go, well, look at that dynamic.
Yeah.
Who has the guns and who doesn't have the guns?
Right.
And how's that fucking working out? And yeah, they may have fucking a gun that gives you a heart attack, but let me tell you, they'll think twice about it if they got to walk in somewhere where everybody's locked and loaded.
Well,
man.
it's chicken and egg too. Like nobody ever likes to think about the fact that maybe the reason the government hasn't turned on the people, or maybe the reason that other countries haven't attacked us, is because of the belief that there's guns in every house in this country.
Every house.
So it's like people go, the government's never going to attack the people. Well, yeah, because we created a provision to prevent it.
100%.
And no, there are no other countries going to attack us. Listen, I think we all know it's not because they don't want to.
Yeah.
They can't stop fucking talking about it.
Yeah.
So why don't they? Maybe because of the guns.
And dude, look at North Dakota, dude. Those Native Americans protesting the pipeline. What'd they do? They went up against militarized police who did practices on them.
Yeah.
Would send different police units in to practice dealing with mobs.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Angry
dude.
mobs. Yeah.
And they didn't have any guns.
Right.
Think about those, and you can say whatever you want about those hicks, those white guys who were like trying to protect their land, and the government comes in and they all showed up with guns, and what did the government do?
In Portland, you're talking about, right? Or
Step
Washington?
back.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying they might be alt-right or whatever you want to call them, but look what happens when everybody's locked and loaded. Because the government isn't going to flamethrow the United States, because the United States market drives the entire America, the entire Earth market.
The global economy.
The global economy.
Yeah.
I am all over the place on the coffee.
No, it's okay.
Okay? It's just,
Right.
it's
It's
the
just
truth,
like,
man. I'm going to get yelled at. Oh, yeah, no, I'm drugs. I'm not. I'm just passionate. It's like they're not going to flamethrow us. When they hit us in 9/11 and the entire global economy crash, they learned something. So they got to do it like in a way
They
where...
test it once in a while.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
How's this going to react? And it's just the truth.
Yeah. So we talk a lot about the motivation. Like, what's the motivation? What do you think is the core motivation of the censorship now? Like what? Because obviously we talked about the religious right was trying to essentially protect their belief system, in a way protect their control over their own people. Like, the Megan Phelps Roper is a great example. I just got on the internet and found out everything that we thought was fucking crazy, and that's all it took. Yeah. So you understand why the right for many years was like, I can't let my kids see gay porn. Like, they might
full
want to.
circle. They might enjoy it.
They might enjoy it. My kid's dick might
We
move.
just say InfoWars. We forget what it means. It means information wars. And like he was saying, it's coming. It's coming.
Why do you think they want to censor, Ryan?
They just don't want us to... I don't think there's a they. I think it's an AI that's just turned on, and they just have certain words that are just
but they're sending it after something. They're actually going, because you have, like, the great example is that Asian chicks for the Asian chick
for New York Times.
Yeah, and it's just like that stuff to me is all done on purpose. Why do you get rid of Roseanne and keep her? To get people to fight with each other.
So one of the tweets that everybody got mad at when my thing happened was I made some comment where I was like, "Hey, Asian lady at the pool, close your legs. Nobody wants to see your slanty pussy." And everybody's like, "That's racist." I so badly when the Sarah Jong thing hit, I wanted to be like, "Guys, I was talking about Sarah Jong. That was her at the pool." And it's just open warfare.
Yeah,
I saw her tweets about white guys, and I fired back.
The fact that a rapper can put out a lyric with the N word, and then a white kid who loves that rapper tweet that lyric and get in trouble.
Yeah, like the Kendrick Lamar thing was ridiculous.
It's just stupid.
We've said this in the past, like when you sign a document or you get a deal, that they should take away your Twitter account. Seeing that you've been through that, and you've now looking back, would you have, if they offered you, okay, you're going to get this deal, but you don't get to tweet?
How much money are we talking about?
Well, whatever it would take. What would it take for you? Because
it would take generational wealth. It would take multi-generational wealth for me to go, sure. And by the way, my plan would ultimately be to use that wealth to buy back that power. I'd buy back my own freedom, just like our ancestors did.
Yeah.
I mean, so because there's only one universal source of power in this world, and it's money. So yeah, I would have done that because I would have known down the line it would have slipped the leverage scales in my favor. But what I wouldn't do is give it away for nothing, because I'm not giving myself an ability to fight in the future. So and by the way, I'm very well versed in terms of like legal contracts and shit with entertainment. So I'm very well read. As Zach Galifianakis would say, but no, I would have been able to fight that down the line, depending on the way we work the contract. And I have a very good entertainment attorney too. But yeah, it's like, where is I think the problem is now that there's so much momentum that they think they can make us do it for nothing. You know, like you look at, and it's happened a lot, like Melissa Villaseñor. Everybody pointed out the purge that happened with her when she got on SNL.
I jump into the fray and I start whack-a-moling people, dude. And and they think they're gonna win, and I just sit there and I just dude, I was just going at the funniest things. I go after all these black people that were going after Melissa Villaseñor, and then they all start following me, and I'm a huge fan of yours now.
Right.
So
that's the thing that doesn't get talked about is how many black people came to me and they're like, dude, we totally agree.
Yeah.
And also how many kids came to me and they're like, I'm a mixed kid, so I'm not allowed to have an opinion about anything.
Yeah.
It's so where do these people go? To me, comedy is for outcasts. People who are help me relate to the world in ways that I can't. And that's what comedy is supposed to do. And sometimes about laughing about the shit you're not allowed to participate in. And I think I might have lost a lot of the casual fans of the show, who found me because they like a fat guy eating big sandwiches. But I made so many more people that were like, oh, no, we like you as a comedian.
Build your pirate ship, dude.
Yeah, man, that's all you
Build
can do.
your pirate
George
ship.
Carlin quote, never underestimate the power of stupid people in large groups.
Now
Very
it's time
true.
for everybody's favorite part of the show. It's a classic. It should be interesting to see because you did great today. Went hard in the paint, homeboy.
Aaron.
Don't be an idiot.
Hey, Ron. Well, you better be sick, dead, or mute. Hey, Ron. You done messed up, hey, Ron.
You filthy animal.
Aaron, thoughts?
Well, obviously, I'm not pro-censorship. I work here. I mean, I want you to be able to say all the wackiest shit that you say.
Yes.
On this episode, not so much. I do take umbrage with the idea that George Carlin would be a leader of the alt-right. I don't think that's accurate. I think he would take a step back and fire bombs that none of us would even see coming. He's so brilliant.
Okay. I respect that.
In terms of Alex Jones and iTunes, I mean, I understand, you have to let all the voices out because they'll start coming back for you at some point. But at the same time, it's like when you're using your voice and the people that listen to you are then harassing victims of tragedies. Yeah, you can't go there.
So the Sandy Hook thing is what makes it okay for you to do that.
No. I'm not saying it makes it okay. I'm just saying there's got to be something that's got to be.
Yeah, but you can't control your fans. A lot of look at all the shit people do in the name of Jesus. We haven't outlawed the Bible in this country.
Yeah,
I know.
That's a great point.
That's
dude.
something that the church should also do.
I may not agree with what you have to say, but I'll defend your right to say it, and that's what the left has forgotten. Great show. Check out the podcast one more time.
Implications of Josh Denny.
All right, guys. Great show, dude. Appreciate coming on anytime,
Thanks, man.
homeboy. We'll see you in Niagara Falls, everybody.